Welcome to Intersections. One of the thrusts of this program is to help Citadel people get to know Citadel people. In the 25 years that I've been here, there's been significant turnover in our congregants. And there's out-migration and people move on and do other things. So the time has now come for us to reacquaint ourselves with each other and with new people. And so this morning, I want to carry on with that by introducing you to Laurie and Glynn Andrews, who have been at the Citadel for a while, and we're going to get more insight into how all that has unfolded for them over the next little while. Welcome to Intersections.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Laurie.
Okay.
You are the child of retired Salvation Army officers.
I am.
But they didn't come to officership early in their lives, and so can you pick us up at the stage of life that they answered that particular call for them? But in them answering that also had implications for you and the family. Can you take it from there and chat?
Yeah, sure. My parents came to training college when I was 14. And my brother was 12. So we, and my little sister's very small, but we went to junior high and high school here in St. John. So what happened at that point is I came to the Citadel. When I was 14 was my first stint at the Citadel, and I was part of that, the original puppet group with the Alcocks, just we're dating ourselves here now. But I came, my first trip was when I was 14.
Okay. And then after they became Salvation Army officers,
Right.
Where'd you go?
We moved to Glenwood, and then Mom and Dad went to Horwood, but I didn't go there. I came back into university. And so when I came to university, I came back to the Citadel. And the people were amazing. To this day, I thank Don and Bernice Langdon,
Right.
and Shirley and Luindi Hindi, because they picked me up. They made sure I ate, and they picked me up in the mornings to come to church, to come to Sunday school, because I taught Sunday school.
Those
so
connections become really important. It's interesting how they stick with you through the life. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
great. Let's switch. Talk to us about your experience as a young lad, Glynn, and where was it, and what was the church involvement, and all of that stuff.
Well, Derek, I grew up in a small bay community in Trinity Bay, Winterton, and grew up as Salvation Army. Was active in the church. Played in the band. Did corps cadets and sang in the same company, and did all the regular things that kids do when they're going to church. Basically, I guess, challenge for me was I was one of a few children in the church at the time, but I was pretty much the only male of my age. So that presented some challenges. Everybody else were girls around me, which was all good, but I was the only boy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was my background. I come from an army background, and which fit nicely when Laurie and I met, for sure.
Well, yeah, let's jump right into that. How did you meet?
We met with our Pentecostal best friends, and we were over. I went over to their house, and Glenn was staying with them, and we were playing Pictionary. And so the topic of religion came up, and I said, "Oh yeah, what religion, what faith are you?" And he said, "Salvation Army." And I went, "Oh my gosh, my mother's going to love you." Right? That's sort of how it all came down, and that wasn't yesterday. We'll be married 30 years this year.
My goodness.
Yeah, but we met at a friend's house and we went from there.
You want to comment on that?
Well,
at all?
6 months later,
Here's the place where you say this was the best.
yeah,
day
it
of my
was.
life.
Well, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. But 6 months later, I guess, I said, well, this seems like it. And I asked her, would you marry me? And
Wow.
2 years later.
Wonderful,
we did.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And 30 years. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a milestone. So then you, plural, were at the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I dragged him
You dragged him.
to the Citadel.
Yeah, and I can tell that he put up a lot of resistance.
Well, and a lot of his family was here. So when we come to dig it out, you
Yeah,
wanna.
it's an easy fit, really. Right?
Yeah,
when you think
so
about
you
it.
do have family here, and that those family, friends, connections makes the fit a lot easier, simpler maybe sometimes. It's a little buffer, and you're coming to someplace that's new. That's
Yep.
great. And so what have you been involved in at St. John's Citadel since your return and your entry?
Well, for me, I guess, Derek, for me now, I'm ushering in Norings,
Sure.
something I've done relatively recently. I've stepped in to play different roles in the musical as we've done that over the years. So and there's just being a member of the congregation really is
The adult band.
yeah, the adult, and well, that comes back, I guess, from my upbringing, playing in a band back in Winterton, and having a liking for
Reigniting a passion?
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
For sure, yeah. So that's my...
Great. Laurie, I'm sure there are many other things, but my recollection of your involvement in previous years, I think you played a fairly significant role in musical production.
So I was here. I did arts degree. I did acting and drama at university, and so I was sitting at school one day, and my phone rang, and that was Todd asking me to meet for coffee. And I'm like, But what had happened is he asked me would I get involved with the musical, and so I directed the musical. That started in 1991, 92, and I did subsequent ones since then. Right, I got to work with the lovely late Bob Osmond, so it was truly amazing.
Yeah, those were great experiences for everybody who participated, and those who came, I think, as well.
I had Glynn worked backstage and stuff, but when we had a couple of medical emergencies, he became a disciple. So he...
Well, there you go. It was Glynn on the road to... No.
Yeah, for sure. But
Shades of
that's
St.
how
Paul,
he got involved. And even our daughter Megan, she talks about it because she was in her first musical when she was 8, and she loved it.
Good. What other things have you been involved in at the Citadel through your years?
Oh, obviously Sunday school, taught Sunday school, taught the... when they go out for
Chow.
Yeah, Chow.
Predecessor to Chow.
Yeah, and then obviously the musical was big because that was such a commitment. It was so. I tell this story. I was doing my master's and directing a musical at the same time, and that sort of put a heavier burden on him. Like to say, okay, you need to do more things and help me out here. And you know what his response was?
What do you need?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Very good, very good. So let's look at the whole idea of the intersection of life and faith. Because we can have all the association with church we want through our families and circumstances, but faith is a very personal thing. And so can you tell me a little bit about at what point in your life did you become aware that faith was going to play a significant role in who you would become? And, give you 2 seconds to think about that, and I'll give you the choice of who wants to start.
Yeah, well, I can start.
Okay.
I felt that always faith played a very important role in anybody's life. You really need to have something to believe in, and whatever that you choose that to be, it plays a very impactful role. In my work, for example, you just have to make the right decisions. So you need to have a gauge, I guess, Derek. And for me, that's what faith is for me.
Okay.
It's a gauge.
For me, I was a small child. My grandmother was a big influence on my faith when I was younger. Despite the fact that my parents became officers later, I did not grow up with a father who went to church. So my grandmother and grandfather played a big part in that. And then I came to realization that this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is what I value. And then all through then my career and all the way up through, it was so important to me. It was the foundation of my life, very much so.
Okay. Now, you've spent many years as a teacher and administrator.
Yeah.
You know, you saw families coming to you in and out, high points, low points, challenging, stressful times, and I would imagine that, that you know, you don't leave all the troubles at home, so they come with you to the school, as an example. And people don't know at a young age how to channel that, how to express it potentially in a positive way. Talk to a little bit about, you know, the role faith played as you daily try to interact.
Yeah, navigating the world is not always the easiest place. Navigating school is not always easy. But I think it is the faith that sort of was my foundation, and I was able to, well, one of the things I have said to my parents is when I started education and then when I went into administration, I thanked them for raising me the way they did. It was amazing. And so one of the things about my staff, and they would see, they all knew I was Salvation Army, but they all knew that I had a solid base. I was always, you know, I wasn't preaching. I didn't say, you got to go to church, you got to do anything like that there. But it was just part of who I was, of my personality. So, and so it garnered a lot of respect for sure. And but they all knew. They knew, you know, I didn't swear, I didn't drink, and I didn't do all those things. But I was available. Yeah. And my office door was always open. So, and I think that's part of the reason why.
Well, it's part of the modeling of the Christian faith. You know, sometimes it's that still small voice that, and the constancy of you know, people know that no matter the circumstance, you're going to be level. Right.
Always, and I was always pretty calm. You know, there's no drama with me, so it's just I had a steady foundation. Of course, I had a steady foundation with faith and a steady foundation at home.
Yeah, all working well together.
Yeah.
Right. And Glynn, you're in the world of business, and you have some responsibilities in a management position with an IT company. I want to talk about, again, and you've alluded to it, but would you elaborate a little bit about your interactions in the world of work and, you know, coming up against perhaps different sets of values, you know, and how does faith ground you in that kind of context?
Yeah, well, you said it there. Grounding is exactly it, Derek. You know, there's obviously a lot of challenges in the business world, and you know,
bit dog eat dog sometimes.
Yeah, going back to that foundation is also important, and faith provides that. You know, there are lots of challenges. There's things when you got to really second guess your decision, and you lean on somebody to do that, and I find that through faith.
Thank you. Bring it right into today and where you are in your lives. We get thrown curveballs sometimes. And I know that, you know, you guys have been dealing with a matter of health. And, you know, that's never easy to navigate. And then there's, you know, retirement. My recollection from that first year of retirement is I don't have to. I don't have to this or that or something else. But you know, that wears off around the 6 to 8 month mark of the first year, and you begin to say, what's next? So let's sort of, and you're going to continue in the world of work for a while, hey? Boy, keep the economy rolling. And so the whole notion of now, the present, the circumstances, young adult daughter gone off doing her thing at university, and you know, entering into retirement, dealing with health challenges. Where's faith in all that?
Well, first of all, you know, we have a wonderful daughter, and
yes, she is.
you know,
There's no question that she is.
I think the foundation of her faith helped with her. We gave her those foundations. The Citadel gave her those foundations.
She told
Exactly.
us.
Yeah, so that's part of that.
That's
Sure,
wonderful.
Sure.
Okay.
I tell him he has to keep working so I can retire.
Keep you in the standard of living to which you've grown accustomed.
Yes, absolutely. But I just recently retired, so I haven't hit that 6-month plateau. Right. So I have said, you know, okay, I'm doing nothing for the next 6 months. Right. You know, a lot of reading, a lot of time with our daughter and stuff like that. But in 2016, I was diagnosed with primary progressive MS. And that didn't slow me down, but it is sort of slowing me down now. And I need to have that faith to just sustain me through it. Because I've had questions, you know, well, you know, you're a big believer, you know, why did that happen to you? And I said, well, you know, it's not about God's children don't get bad things happen. It's how we deal with it. So I try to focus on the positive and stuff because you know, it is what it is.
I stand to be corrected, but I think it was Chuck Swindoll who said this quote that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it.
For sure.
I would absolutely agree with that. And so, you know, I kept working and I never had, but like, things are getting a little bit more challenging. So that hence, when it was time to retire, I said, okay, maybe I need to retire now. Sure. 31 years, so an education is, you know, I was pretty pleased with that. But, you know, 31 years ago, I went to my first classroom. So, but now I'm at a different stage, and now I have to do the necessary things for me physically, and just, you know, because, you know, things happen to God's children, and it's how you deal with it.
Yeah. So you're going to stay in the workplace for now. Yep. When do you get to join her?
Oh, I don't know, Derek. It's you know, obviously, in the business world, in a private business, you don't get the luxury of a public sector pension and those types of things.
Thank God for them, hey.
You make your own choices, but you know, obviously, you provide for yourself. You know, I would say, you know, 3 to 5 years maybe.
Hey, yeah.
So, you know, let's see how that works out.
Well, thank you very much for chatting with me today and sharing a little bit about who you are and what faith means to you. As you face that future, that is unknown to all of us. The good news is you know who holds that future. And so we'll put our faith and trust in him. Thank you again.
Thank you.